Well, welcome you to the next edition of What Else Is New with Graves Golf. I actually think I got the name right then. Did I get the name right, Clayton? So, What Else Is New? Did I get the name right? Yeah. It's a shocking. Maybe the first. How many have I done of these? Like 20? I got like the first one. I got the first time I got the name right. Anyway, I wanted this edition of What Else Is New. I want to talk a little bit. I got James Bell here. I've had James on before, but I want to talk a little bit about what we did a couple weeks ago. It's been that long now. We went to New York City. We went to New York City and we spent, Callaway invited us out there. We went to it was a release of the Apex, the AI Apex. It was a big, I don't know what you'd call it. I mean, it was an exposition / anyway, what would you call it, James?
I don't know, because I was expecting to be all these pros out there and all these guys. And we were like two lost ducks in a pond, because it's all social influencers and brand ambassadors. And we're going, who the heck are these people? So basically what it was is Callaway, about a couple months ago, they sent me an invitation to what's called 5-Iron Golf, which is the indoor driving range in downtown New York City. It's actually it's in Manhattan, right? Yep.
And and so they invited us out and they put us up in a hotel for a few days. And honestly, I'd never been in New York City. I've been through New York City. I've been around New York City. I've been to New York City, but never really stayed any length of time in New York City. So I went out with my wife and I and James and his wife. We went out and we spent a few days and we had a blast. We can talk about that in a whole other podcast, but we had a blast out in New York City. But we went to this deal and Callaway invited us out. And basically what it was their official release of the Apex Ai 200, the AI 300, and the TI Fusion. And what it was, we thought it was going to be, was they were going to bring in all the like pros that played it, or the guys that were thinking about playing it, or the guys like us that are guys on the field that play them or test them or fit them. And what it was basically brand ambassadors and social influencers. And these guys and gals that were in there have literally millions and millions. I mean, and that's probably an underestimate, followers. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know a lot of them. I didn't know any of them. Yeah, James didn't know any of them. But so when he says we feel like ducks out of water, because these were young guys and gals in there who were definitely big time social influencers that Callaway had put together. And they said, hey, come into downtown New York City. We're going to give you all you can drink and all you can eat. And you're going to try these new irons. But the crazy thing was these social influencers weren't very good golfers.
No, they're terrible.
So we were watching them inside in 5-Iron Golf. I don't think many people have been there, but if you've never been there, 5-Iron Golf in New York, downtown New York City, I think it's on the 3rd floor of one of the bigger buildings, which is many of them New York City, right across from Grand Central Station. Right across from Grand Central Station. Right. It's right there, which is really weird because you'll be walking around in downtown New York City with 8 million people. And all of a sudden you see a guy or a girl walk by with a golf bag on their shoulder. And it's like, what? And all of a sudden another guy walks by the golf bag. You're like, what? What the hell? Yeah. And it's like they're going to the subway with a golf bag. And you're like, you're in the middle of like Asphalt Central. I mean, there's no green grass within 10 square miles of this. And they've got a golf bag, but then they're coming from this driving range. But it's an indoor driving range that has, I think it had like 20 some simulators in it.
Yep.
And the simulators were set up, obviously, that you could play games on them. You can, it basically Top Tracer. Top Tracer was on these simulators.
It's all TrackMan.
It's all TrackMan on Top Tracer. Yeah. And it was really pretty cool. And so, but what Callaway did is they brought us in and we hadn't seen them. They hadn't shown it to us. We had some pictures of them and they released and they showed us and they said, here we go. And it was the big blowout of the new Apex. So in this podcast, I want to talk a little bit about the Apex itself, about the Apex line and the Fusion line. And I'm going to have him give you 2 cents about it, because we are getting, obviously, with all this social media out there now, with all the media on these Apex, with all the new stuff coming out, we're getting a lot of questions about the Apex line out there. So I want to talk a little bit about this. Then we can throw in a little bit of fun about stuff about New York City. And if you've never been there, it's definitely a place to go. I think probably a lot of you guys have been there, but if you hadn't, it's definitely a place to travel to.
It's an eye opener.
It's an eye opener. Yeah. I thought the subway, I'm an Okie. I mean, I'm born in Minnesota, but I mean, born and raised in Oklahoma. I've been here for almost 50 years. And so I'm an Okie. Now I travel all over the United States.
Have you ever been underground?
No. Well, underground in like airports or underground.
That doesn't count.
Okay. Maybe underground in Chicago a little bit. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But nothing big time. I mean, underground, like the malls in Atlanta or the malls here, stuff like that. But underground subway, I mean, that is its own world. I mean, that is insanity. It was really cool though, because when I go with my wife on trips, It's all the time. I'm the one that's responsible to get the tickets. I'm responsible to get the maps. I'm the one that's responsible to find it. In fact, my wife, I've always threatened, my wife and I, the 1 or 2 fights we have a year, which we don't have many, to be honest with you, is about her stinking map reading. It is awful. And if she's listening to this, she's going to admit it is awful. She'll sit there and say, I'm going to map a restaurant and it'll be like 2 minutes away, but it's the opposite direction we're going. It's like, what are you kidding me? So
we did that walking.
I'm always the one having to do maps and directions and stuff, but guess what? On this trip, I didn't. James and Cindy got to do it. I mean, they're the Boy Scouts. They're the Eagle Scouts. They're the Scout Masters. So we let them do it. And I'm telling you right now, thank goodness they did it, because that subway is freaking confusing, and they handled it well. We never got lost, did we? I think one time we got sort of
missed
lost.
One station.
They were amazing.
That's because we went in the wrong entrance.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I'm telling you, it is a freaking different world down there. It is crazy. But I tell you what surprised me. And I keep telling her, I told my wife this and so on. We got in on Sunday, and it really, really surprised me how many young people, in particular young females, but young males and females, were just walking around the streets, just on the street. I mean, I always thought, when you think of New York City and you're an Okie coming to New York City, you're thinking, okay, is it scary? Is it safe? Is it not? There's no question whatsoever that it was a lot safer than I thought, because the amount of young people that were there, and I'm talking in their 20s, early 30s, or younger than that. They're just walking the streets everywhere at night, during the day.
I think it's like real estate. It's location,
Yeah,
because we're in Manhattan. Nothing's going to happen in Manhattan.
Well, it's
go
like,
to the Bronx.
I couldn't
different story,
believe
I guess.
the number of people that were there that were just young, it was very safe, even in the subway. It didn't matter. I felt safe. It was great. It felt safe, but there's just a bazillion people there.
Yeah.
We got in on a Sunday. It was calm. It was nice. There was some people on the streets. There's a lot. Everybody seemed like they had flowers in their hands because they're going to the flower shops buying flowers. That's one thing we noticed. They're like, flower shop, flower shop, flower shop, flower shop. But we got to give you the quick story, because the first one is,
am I going to live this down?
You're not.
Okay.
Because you're not going to live this down, because we are our land. We're going to get to Apex.
It was your wife.
We're going to get to Apex.
And my wife.
I promise you we're going to get there. But we get in there. No, it was you, James. So we get there, and our flight's delayed by a couple hours to Oklahoma City. And believe it or not, there's straight flights from New York City to LaGuardia. Oklahoma City to LaGuardia. There's straight flights. About a 3-hour flight. It was great. But our flight was delayed out of Oklahoma City because there was some heavy, heavy rain we had that morning and some lightning. So we got in about 2 hours late. So we were supposed to get in about noon on Sunday, and we didn't get into about 2:30 or 3. So we roll in, we take an Uber into our hotel. And immediately it's like, throw the bags in the room, and it's a sprint. And I'm not kidding you. It's like James, me, James's wife, Cindy, just an absolute sweetheart, and my wife, and we are sprinting down the street. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And James, you want to tell them where we went?
I was trying to catch up to the girls.
Yeah,
is what I was trying to do.
You were leading the pack.
I was
You were
not.
leading the pack. I was trying to catch up to you.
All right,
So
I'll
go
tell
ahead.
them the story.
You tell them the story. Go ahead.
The girls wanted to go to Kleinfeld's.
James wanted to go to Kleinfeld's.
Okay. And if you don't know what that is, watch Say Yes to the Dress. I'll throw a plug in for the show. And because Jerry Lynn and Cindy both binge watch it.
My wife does not binge watch Say Yes to It. I've never seen it or heard it. You and your wife binge watch this, and you know you do. So, because we walked in, and my wife and I are looking at this thing like, where is this?
I get guilty by association.
And I look, and James is like, look at that guy. I know him. Look at him. I know him. I know him.
that designer. I know that designer.
And I'm like, you know him. And I'm like, we're sitting in the store at Kleinfeld's. This is a bridal shop. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, so I got drug all the way to New York City to go to a bridal shop. But we got there before it closed, didn't we, James?
Yep. And the girls got to take pictures.
And they were happy, right?
Yeah.
So they took their pictures, and we're good now, James?
Yes, we get to live through that one.
Yeah.
Okay. But we didn't go to the groom store across the street. I don't even know what the name of it was.
I don't even, okay.
You didn't even know it was there, did you?
So, no, I didn't even know it was there. Okay. We'll get back into New York. Okay. So we're going to talk Apex.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. So the next night we got invited to the big blowout of the Apex, and they released him. And I want James just a little bit. I want him to go over, because I've been talking most of this, obviously, like normal. But I want James to talk a little bit about the new Apex line and about the TI Fusion line, because they're pretty amazing. I've now had time to hit them. I've had time to get the Fusion in my bag. I've had time to get it out there.
I would say I've had a chance to hit the Fusion, but it's been in your bag for the last 3 weeks, so I haven't.
No. Okay, yeah, well, it's in my bag. So, okay. So go ahead, James. Go ahead and hit it. Tell them about the AI, the new AI technology in the Apex and the TI Fusion.
They're the latest forged club from Callaway. The Apex line comes out every 2 years. They worked hard on this one. They brought it out. They're absolutely beautiful. They fall within the player's distance category for clubs. super forgiving. If you want to compare them to anything, go back to 2 years ago when Apex came out with the Apex DCB and then the regular Apex. Both of them are very similar looking. The AI 200, which is going to be for the better player, you're looking at a slightly smaller head. It's ever so slightly smaller. The sole width on the bottom is designed for those that are going to be taking the divots. And it is just a super forgiving, good looking, responsive forged iron. It's the simplest way to put it. It's a beautiful club.
So now you have an AI 200. I've got it in my hands here. I know most of those guys at home can't see it. We are filming this one, but you got the AI 200, which has a little narrower sole on it.
Yeah.
So, which is basically to make it simple, you really need to make pretty good or significant divot to hit the AI 200.
Yes.
Because of the narrow sole. Now it is a cavity back iron. It's got some great weight on the back of it. It's very, very responsive. It feels amazing. And it's soft. It's got that player's feel to it. It's unbelievable, the player's feel. But the AI 200, if you're not making a divot, or there's times you don't make divot, it ain't the club for you, because it's got the weight sitting, and then what weight it has is sitting on the bottom. It's sitting in the middle or middle towards bottom of the club.
Yeah. The weight is behind the working part of the golf. Mm-hmm. It's not well out on the peripheries like the Apex used to be.
It's not now. But the biggest thing this year, and we'll jump down on this thing, is they came out with this called the AI 300. Okay. And the AI 300 is a forged club. So it's got it's made out of the same metal, the same everything that the AI 200 is made out of, or like Apex made of, but it's got a wider sole and it's got a bigger sweet spot. It's got a bigger profile to it.
The thing I love about the 300, when you look at it, you get a close up look at the sole of the club.
Yeah.
They still have they've got the relief on the front leading edge,
right,
which the better players absolutely love.
Right.
They get these, the guys that talk about their favorite irons have had in their bag for the last 5 or 6 years. The leading edge is worn off. It feels different going into the grass.
It's the relief of it.
Yep. And they go in there. This is my favorite club. So Callaway's put that on them.
See right there.
Yep. And then you get the relief on the backside.
Yep.
The camber on the backside. So when you look at them, they're really not that wide when you come to the playability part of the iron. But you still,
the AI 300 could be for that guy who scrapes the grass or makes a minimal divot or makes almost no divot, because it's got more weight at the bottom of the club. It's got a wider sole.
A little bit more offset.
Right.
And it's not significant. It's just a little bit.
So you've got those two clubs. So now so describe Callaway. Really, the Apex is basically released every 2 years, correct? I mean,
yes.
Sometimes every 3 years, but it's basically every 2 years.
It's every 2 years, unless they can't get one that they don't like the sound or feel of.
And if you had somebody that knew nothing about Callaway, they knew nothing about Apex, what would you say the Apex line is? The Apex line is for who? What is the Apex line? What is it for? I mean, I know I'm throwing you on the spot, but what would you say?
Middle to better players.
Okay. Now, if you had somebody who's like a 20 handicap or 15 handicap and they're out there, okay, would you get that? You consider that a pretty good player, right? I mean, decent player.
It's still a good player.
Would that guy fit into an Apex 300 for that?
Perfect. AI 300 would be perfect for him.
Okay. Because
even if he took a divot, the 200 would work fine.
Yeah.
Because it's forgiving enough.
Here's the deal. These are not blades. These are not muscle back clubs. These are a club that's got they're very forgiving compared to most forged clubs that are out there, and they're long. The biggest thing in these, they're long.
They're very comparable to the AI Smoke and the Paradigm.
Right, they're long. And that was the biggest thing they put in this Apex line, is they wanted the length, because the players iron they've had out in the past, they didn't lose length, but they didn't have that maximum length. These are long.
Even the ones they have now, like the Apex Pros or the Apex Musclebacks. Now you're talking blade, you're talking tour level, low single digit handicappers.
Right. So we've been getting a lot of questions about that. So, because we get a lot of those guys that want to try these new clubs and want to try the feel in these new clubs and want the playability of these new clubs. And you're not going to get a better feel club out of it. They're beautiful feel. I mean, guys, this is the same metal they make the wedges out of.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same forged side metal they make the wedges. So it's a very soft,
and don't be scared to hit them. Guys, our middle handicap guys are so scared that they take a look at that. They're going, well, I could never hit that club. And I'll say bull crap on that one, because
the 300,
the 300, it's there. It's forgiving enough. It's going to give you the feedback.
Oh yeah.
And try it.
Now, okay. So then we actually didn't know much about this one. We when we were in New York City.
This was a surprise.
This was a surprise, because we just thought we knew it was going to be about the Apex, the AI 200 and the AI 300. And we had heard in rumor about this other club, but we didn't know much about it. And when we come to find out, was this TI Fusion. And basically the story behind this TI Fusion is, and we found this out in New York City, Chip Brewer, who is actually the CEO of Callaway, and he's the big boy in the golf industry. You guys probably know Chip Brewer. He's the big boy. He's the one that went from Adams Golf to Callaway years ago, and he's very innovative. And he is Callaway now. He's the guy who brings in the new stuff for Callaway. He really is. He runs an incredible ship at Callaway. Yeah. He's the guy. He actually was the one that kind of wanted to do this iron. And he's the one that put this iron in his bag and kind of designed this iron. It's kind of after Chip.
He's a club nerd. That's what surprises me.
Well, obviously, he's the Callaway. He's Mr. Callaway. So, but he actually was the one that kind of put this club together and went to his engineers and said, can we design this club? And it's the TI Fusion. You want to talk about a little bit about it? So
this is, again, it's another beautiful looking iron. Right. It's, when you look at it, you say, oh my gosh, it's another player's distance, but it's blade-like until you hit it.
Right.
And when you hit it, it's like, oh my God, this is so forgiving.
Right.
It looks phenomenal. It's playable. It's very similar in the bottom line to the 200.
Right.
So it's not as
it's a little bit smaller. I mean, it's like percentage smaller than the 200. In fact, they were calling it the AI 150, kind of a slang term, like the AI 150, AI 200, AI 300. This was like slang term is the AI 150, but it's the TI Fusion. Now, the Fusion part of this, you want to talk about that for a second?
They put titanium in there, and every now and then Callaway will come up, every other year, Callaway will come up with a club that they throw all their technology at. Right. They'll throw everything. And this one here is the first time they've used titanium into a face on a golf club that was actually controllable with an iron.
Right. That is actually kind of a blade kind of face. And guys, and I'm going to be honest with you. I really, really, really thought that I was going to go the AI 200s, and I love them. And I hit them, and I've hit Apex for a long time, and I like the AI 200s. In fact, they're a very good club. I then pulled up the Fusion. And I used to hit a blade a long time ago. This was many, many, many moons ago. I used to hit a blade, but I'm since way past that blade. And when I looked at that TI Fusion at first, I went, okay, that's a muscle back blade. I'm not sure that's going to be for me. And I hit it, and it's amazing. It's long. It's long. It's really, really, really good. I really like to look at that. Now, there's not going to be a whole lot of forgiveness in that face because it's just not that big.
There's more than you think there is.
There is, but it's not a big face club. No. So the three clubs they came out with, and it really is, and this is the big three big ones right now, are the TI Fusion. And the big thing about the TI Fusion, and we found this out, is they're limited the number of sets. Mm-hmm. The AI 200, the AI 300, those are going to be going on for next year. They're going to be out. They'll be the big boys next year that you'll hear all about them again and continually hear about them. The TI Fusion, they may be sold out by the beginning of next year. I think they'll bring some more in, but they've limited those sets.
I don't think they'll make it past November.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, James sometimes knows more about this than I do because he gets some of the inside scoop from a little bit more than I do, but I know they're limited. So if you're looking at the TI Fusion out there, I would say get a hold of us pretty quick. If you're looking at the Apex and you want to try them, I mean, we're getting a lot of guys that are trading in smoke for the Apex. We're getting a lot of guys that obviously are trading in their Rogues, the Rogue ST, their Rogue Maxes for the Apex. And then obviously we're getting tons and tons of guys who are just upgrading it from the Apex in the past to the Apex now. Because this is going to be the players or the soft forged iron that's going to be out for the next year and a half, maybe 2 years.
I want to get some feedback from the guys that are out there. We've had a couple of people that have changed their big Berthas.
Yeah.
For the 300s.
300s, yeah.
They're the ones I want to hear the feedback.
Well, we're getting feedback already about the AI 200s and the AI 300s from the Apex guys. And they're talking about how they're just a little bit longer and a little bit more forgiving. We're getting that. And I've probably published that in the newsletters and I talked about that. Mm-hmm. And they're liking them. I mean, you guys know I'll put the negative reviews. I'll put the positive reviews out there. I'll put it all out there. I have no problem with that. And we're getting some really good reviews, but they've only been out about 2 weeks now. So, I mean, literally they released 2 weeks ago. So the guys are just getting them in hand. You're just getting them in hand now, but they are out. They are being, and guys, remember, just like normal, no matter whether you get a Big Bertha, you get the Smoke, you get the Smoke HL, you're getting the Apex, you're getting the Fusion. It doesn't matter what club with us. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure it fits you perfect for length, line angle, shaft flex, grip size, set makeup. We're going to make sure you got the right hybrids in the bag, the right fairwoods in the bag, the right irons in the bag, the right wedges in the bag. That's the key. You know, we always fall down to this same thing. You know, with the new clubs get released quite often. We know that. That's how the club companies make their money. We just like to play with them. They're fun. And they're fun to get out there. And a lot of you guys out there like to hear about them, like to get them in your bag. And we love that. But no matter what, the biggest point for us is we're going to get the excuses out of your bag. We've got to get those clubs fit to you perfect. When you take that club out in the range, you take it out on the golf course or take it to Top Golf or wherever, or 5-iron golf in New York City or wherever you want to go. The key is that it's got to fit you perfect. Every club in that bag fits you perfect. If it doesn't fit you perfect, there's an excuse behind it and you will make a compensation in your swing. You will not swing it on plane. You will not swing it properly. You will not want to make a divot. You will not, you know that. So then you guys can review some of the stuff we've done in the past about this, but the club has to fit you perfect. You know, I'd rather have a club that's 5 years old that fits you perfect than a club that's brand new that doesn't fit you perfect. It's worthless.
True statement.
I mean, it's just the way it is. And we can tell you tons of stories there, but anyway. So we want to, so guys, and any of the stories you want to talk about in New York City? I mean, it was a lot of fun. We saw everything. I think we saw everything there.
We put as much into 3 days as I think most people will put into 2 weeks. Like, oh my God, we ran from basically, if you know Manhattan, from Central Park south, I think we hit everything you could possibly see.
Well, if you guys have never seen the 9/11 memorial, it's a must.
Sobering.
It's beyond sobering. I mean, we got there and we went to the 9/11 memorial, and we did that the first full day we were there. We wanted to get it first, and we had a young lady. She was our tour guide. We got a tour. We went through with the headphones on. It took us about an hour. We went through it, and she said when she started the tour, she said, if it gets too emotional during the tour, feel free to step out. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it twice. I mean, I've been through the memorial in Oklahoma City, the bomb memorial in Oklahoma City. I mean, obviously it's kind of in our backyard. I've been through stuff like that before, not on this scope. But I'll tell you right now, halfway through it, I understood what she was saying.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It is crazy how emotional it is. And then to come to find out that she is actually the daughter of one of the firefighters that went into the building.
I think the one that hit me the most is when we were down below and we were standing outside of the morgue that's down there. When they were talking about,
I'm sure a lot of you have been there, but when you,
how many people they still haven't identified in pieces. They're still trying to identify.
The tour, you walk in there and you put the headphones on, and right behind the lady was in front of us, the young lady, and right behind her was it's basically probably 2 feet by 2 feet square blue blocks on this wall. And they're all along this wall. And there's literally thousands of them. And the first thing they comment to you is they sit there and they see all these blue blocks behind you, or there's like blue squares. They said there's no two blue squares of the same color. And it represents, every one of these represents a person that died in the 9/11 memorial. And there's thousands up there.
Yep.
And they said, and then what's on the other side of that wall is the hundreds of unidentified bodies
and pieces
of bodies that are still unidentified. And they said that they're working full time, and they work full time around the clock into morgue, trying to, with the new technology they've created to try to identify these parts of the bodies.
Yep.
And I mean, that's how the tour starts.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Well, welcome to the memorial.
Yeah, and you're down there underneath. It's like, whoa. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was, that was very, but Statue of Liberty. I mean, we went by, we saw, we did it all. There wasn't
Wall Street, NASDAQ.
Yeah. Trump's building. We saw
Trump's building.
We saw it all.
We saw we saw one really interesting play.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And then the girls went out and saw Wicked afterwards.
Yeah. So we saw a play that was, it was a great play. It was a great play, but it was a lot of fun, but we want to thank Callaway. Callaway had us out there, and we want to thank them for inviting us out there. And we actually, believe it or not, we actually learned a lot about the clubs. We got to see the vice president of Callaway. We got to see some of the marketing guys at Callaway that we know very well.
We got to see some of the new guys who are going to be working with.
We got to see some of the new guys. In fact, we found out that there's a new guy that really helps us a lot that's going to be working with us here shortly. We got to meet him. And anyway, but I'd put a perk in. If you're ever in Manhattan and you want to go hit a few balls, I'd definitely recommend five iron golf. 5 iron golf was pretty cool. It was actually very cool. But it was cool. It was neat. And it was amazing. The food was unbelievable in New York City. It was amazing. Yes. We tried to do the everything possible in New York City. And then
the delis were amazing.
The delis were unbelievable.
Yeah.
And trust me, James and I ate our share.
Well, we had one we kept going back to 3 times.
Next hotel we kept going back to. That was just unbelievable. But anyway, but we definitely recommend. I'm sure a lot of you guys do business out there all the time. But for us Okies, that was a real experience. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, you Okies.
Yeah, you're a Canadian. I know. We would kind of inherit you as an Okie now.
I've been here long enough now. I've been transplanted.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, we're jumping around a lot in this podcast. But what's new? So what else is new, right? Guys, if you got any questions on the new Apex, you got any questions on the TI Fusion, got any questions on club fitting for yourself, and that's critical. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to fit clubs. No. You can fill out the form for free and I'll start talking to you, open up a dialogue and make sure, what's in your bag fits you. But anyway, if you got in that, you can always email me at timg@graysgolf.com, or you can email James at jamesb@graysgolf.com. You can email us anytime. We'll take care of you guys. And I want to thank you guys for being part of this podcast this week. And we'll talk to you guys real soon.